This is Face the State with Robb Hanrahan. And featuring political insiders Tony May and Charlie Gerow.
And we're back here on Face the State with John Hanger, energy consultant, special counsel to Eckert Siemens, and of course the former secretary of the D.E.P. Our political insiders, Democratic strategist Tony May, Republican strategist Charlie Gerow joining us. And Charlie, you wanted to start with the regulation of the shale drilling industry.
Mr. Secretary, you very correctly pointed out the benefits of Pennsylvania's natural gas development, responsible and safe development, as long as it's quote unquote properly regulated. So I wanted to ask you what your reaction is to those who say that it isn't properly regulated, or as Tony's favorite newspaper, the New York Times, recently said, that our regulations are lax.
Well, in Pennsylvania, the regulations were completely rewritten under Governor Rendell, and actually in the first few months of the Corbyn administration, further regulations were finalized. So the Pennsylvania rules at this point are anything but lax. In fact, the University of Texas just did a study of all 15 states that do most of the gas production and found our regulations were tougher than anybody's. More violations issued to the industry here, more oversight. So if this was the state police, our state police were issuing more tickets than, say, those in Texas or Louisiana, and I think that's actually appropriate. I mean, this is a very significant industrial process. Things can go wrong, and do go wrong. So there needs to be the sense that the industry is being watched. The last thing I'll say on that is everybody pays a little more attention to what they do when they're being watched.
Tony, can I get a quick one in along the same lines? Governor Corbett's proposed budget calls for a $10 million cut to DEP, but the current secretary, Michael Krancer, says he's added inspectors and doesn't see a problem with that $10 million cut. How would you have dealt with that? What's your opinion of that statement?
Well, the staff for the oil and gas program is actually funded out of fees charged to the industry, separate and apart from the general fund budget that is approved in the budget process. So we did double the number of inspectors and the staff as we left through the Rendell administration and paid for it with fees and fines. The separate issue of the budget for DEP, as it funds everything else DEP does, I personally think it's reached a point now after about 5 years of reductions where significant responsibilities are just not being fully met at this juncture.
All right, Tony.
Along those same lines, I'm not really up to speed totally on all of the details in the Marcellus Shale fee bill, but it seems to turn a lot of responsibility for oversight over to the PUC. You're former PUC chairman. Who's better for this, PUC or DEP, and are we at risk here?
Well, I think the DEP still has the day-to-day responsibility for ensuring that the gas drilling is done safely and for also in protecting our natural resources. That was not put into the Public Utility Commission. The Public Utility Commission has the responsibility of actually initially ruling on whether local ordinances passed by municipalities about the placement of gas drilling equipment are legal or not. This has been a flashpoint of controversy between the industry and some local governments and neighbors. So those disputes initially go to the Public Utility Commission. It has to go somewhere, and I don't have a huge quarrel with it going to the Public Utility Commission initially. Eventually, those disputes, frankly, end up in court. So it's really a question in the first instance, where does all that start?
Mr. Secretary, there's been a lot written about the tremendous benefits of the Marcellus Shale development in the areas where it's taking place, but in the viewership of this station, there isn't a lot of gas development going on. How are Pennsylvanians living outside the footprint of natural gas development benefiting from the safe and responsible development of the Marcellus Shale?
Well, right here in this service territory, we have an electric utility called PPL Electric Utilities. I think we probably all write a check to PPL. Their electric rates have been cut substantially since 2010 because of the lower price of electricity produced by the low price of natural gas. In fact, they just are announcing another rate cut going in effect on March 1st. I did a quick calculation. A typical PPL electric customer has probably saved about $400 per year for the last 2-3 years because of shale gas. People don't understand that connection, but it's very real. Ask somebody who paid for heat through oil this winter. It was a very mild winter, but he heating oil was very expensive. Go to a neighbor who's paying for gas, and they've probably saved $1,000 compared to that heating oil customer. So some big benefits.
Just quick follow-up. Do you expect to see dramatic conversion to natural gas from people currently using oil or other fuel sources?
It's been happening, again, in the mid-state. UGI is another local utility. They've been reported a huge switch from oil heat to natural gas where the pipes are available. It's just it's just much cheaper right now, hugely cheaper. So where people can do that, I'm sure people are going to do it. I think the key is the transportation issue that we talked about earlier. And by the way, more electricity is being now made with natural gas, and very old polluting coal-fired power plants are closing down and being replaced by natural gas.
Over a century ago, we had a big timber state. We clear-cut Pennsylvania's forests. The mountains were denuded. We didn't learn from that when we became a big coal state, and we still are facing water pollution problems and old calm banks that are scarring the countryside. Do you think we're showing any indication that we're not going to make the same kind of mistakes with Marcellus and Utica shale drilling?
Yes, I think we've, for example, completely rewritten our regulations that govern gas drilling. There were 4 regulatory packages that were pushed through governing the withdrawal of water, the disposal of water, the design of gas wells. None of that was done before the timbering and the coal mining. So we've rewritten the law. We more than doubled the inspectors and the state employees that are overseeing the industry. Again, that was not done with timbering or with coal mining. So we've learned some lessons. We do have this fee that has been imposed. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy around the fee, but there is a fee now. So I think we've learned some lessons. I would be the last to say, however, that this is done and we're absolutely got this done the right way. I think that the big opportunity that's still missing is to use this gas to get us away from expensive gasoline. It drives me, frankly, crazy that I'm fueling at $3.69 a gallon when natural gas is available for $1.50 a gallon.
But it has to be available in more places, like we were talking about.
Ask the magic question.
Go ahead. Convert your house, you need the pipe there.
A 10-second question. Are you going to run for governor in 2014?
I've got lots of things on my plate right now, and so I hear that talk once in a while, and we'll see what happens. But right now, I've got plenty to do.
Notice he didn't say no.
We're going to leave that with a big maybe, and we have to stop right there. John Hanger, former DEP Secretary, Special Counsel now to Eckert Siemens. Thanks so much for being with us again here on Face the State.
Thank you.
Back with your Keystone commentary right after this.